Good evening. You're watching the main news on HKIBC. I'm Raymond Yeung. Here are tonight's top stories. Nancy Pelosi ends her controversial visit to Taiwan after meeting a varied list of personalities. China conducts military drills and slaps sanctions on Taiwan over Pelosi's trip. And locally, the Twocolor health code system is now in its test phase and will be launched soon. U.S. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi has reaffirmed Washington's commitment to Taiwan as she met key personnel on the island. She spent the day at the lawmaking chamber and at Tsai Ing-wen's office before ending her controversial trip this evening. Raymond Yeung reports.
As China seethed over Nancy Pelosi's controversial stopover, host and visitor made a show of remaining unfazed. Tsai Ing-wen presented U.S. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi with a grand cordon ribbon from the Order of Propitious Clouds, one of Taiwan's highest honors.
America's solidarity with Taiwan is crucial, and that is the message we are bringing here today. Today, the world faces a choice between democracy and autocracy. America's determination to preserve democracy here in Taiwan and around the world remains ironclad.
在这个关键的时刻，以行动表达对台湾坚定的支持。
Tsai thanked Pelosi for taking concrete actions to show staunch support for Taiwan. Pelosi was asked about Beijing's anger over her visit.
I just hope that it's really clear that while China has stood in the way of Taiwan participating and going to certain meetings, that they understand that they will not stand in the way of people coming to Taiwan.
She also mentioned Hong Kong.
I think that the demonstration of a democracy that has evolved to a stronger place now, and it offers a very strong contrast to what's happening on mainland China. No more evidence needed than what happened in Hong Kong under one country, two systems. It didn't happen.
The U.S. politician was also welcomed by lawmakers, including the Deputy Speaker of Taiwan's parliament, Tsai Chi-chang. Pelosi landed in Taipei last night in defiance of China, and despite President Joe Biden saying the military did not think it was a good idea. She did, however, have the bipartisan backing of some lawmakers, including Republican Mitch McConnell. Security was tightened in Taipei as the VIP attended a state banquet in the afternoon. One of Hong Kong's kidnapped Causeway Bay booksellers, Lam Wing-ki, was seen entering the venue, while exiled Chinese dissident Wu Kai-si was reportedly also on the guest list. Prominent business leaders like chip-making giant TSMC's founder Morris Chang were apparently also in attendance. Pelosi boarded a plane this evening for South Korea. Raymond Yeung, HKIBC.
China has taken military and economic steps in retaliation against Nancy Pelosi's visit to Taiwan. Beijing banned imports and exports of some items, while the People's Liberation Army conducted military exercises around the island. Chloe Feng reports.
China responded swiftly as it vented its anger over Nancy Pelosi's visit to Taiwan. The military conducted naval and air force exercises this morning to the north, southwest, and southeast of Taiwan's coast and airspace. These included long-range, live-fire exercises in the Taiwan Strait and conventional missile tests in waters off the island's east coast. Officials described the maneuvers as a solemn deterrent and a serious warning to Taiwanese forces seeking independence. The People's Liberation Army also demarcated 6 no-entry zones around the island for non-military ships and planes, saying live-fire exercises will be conducted from noon tomorrow until Sunday. Taiwan denounced the moves as a severe violation of its territory and a threat to peace. On the economic front, the Ministry of Commerce suspended exports of natural sand, which Taiwan needs for construction. More importantly, sand is needed for silicon wafers used in chip production, a cornerstone of the island's manufacturing sector. Beijing also banned imports of citrus fruits, chilled white striped hairtail and frozen mackerel from the island, saying pesticides were detected in the fruits, while seafood samples tested positive for COVID.
这是一场彻头彻尾的闹剧。
Foreign Minister Wang Yi today condemned Pelosi's visit, calling it an outright farce that breached the One China principle and maliciously violated China's sovereignty. The Taiwan Affairs Office in Beijing said Tsai Ing-wen and those it accused of colluding with external forces would only push Taiwan to the brink of disaster. Chloe Fong, HKIBC.
In Hong Kong, Chief Executive John Lee condemned Nancy Pelosi's trip to Taiwan. In a video published on his Facebook page, Lee told his colleagues that the government is against independence for Taiwan. He urged them to work on safeguarding China's sovereignty. Lee's top three officials were among those present: Chief Secretary Eric Chan, Financial Secretary Paul Chan, and Secretary for Justice Paul Lam. The city's health chief said the Twocolor health code system has entered its test phase. It will be rolled out soon, along with the shorter hotel quarantine period for inbound travelers who will get a yellow code. Joanna Ho reports.
Health Secretary Lo Chong-mao told RTHK that the authorities are considering cutting hotel quarantine for inbound travelers. The measure will be implemented together with a Twocolor health code system. COVID-infected patients in home isolation will be issued with a red code, while arrivals from foreign countries and Taiwan will be given a yellow one. Those with a yellow code have to undergo a period of health monitoring after their hotel quarantine. They will be banned from some activities and cannot enter premises that are deemed as high risk, such as restaurants and hospitals. They may also have to undergo PCR tests every other day, but they can go to school or work. The scheme will not cover close contacts for now, but in another interview with the Ta Kung Pao newspaper, Lo said they will be gradually included. He did not reveal whether hotel quarantine will be cut to 3 days or 5 days, only saying authorities will decide after carefully analyzing data. On a separate note, the health chief welcomed the lowering of the minimum age for COVID jabs to 6 months. He said the recent death of a 22-month-old girl from brain inflammation caused by COVID is a deep lesson for Hong Kong and pledged to step up anti-epidemic efforts for children. Joanna Ho, HKIBC.
The hospital authority is freeing up more beds in public hospitals by transferring some patients in stable condition to private hospitals. This follows an increase in the number of COVID patients admitted to hospital.
Now, 13 private hospitals have provided 364 beds for our COVID and non-COVID patients. Most of them are for non-COVID patients. CU Medical Center has provided 24 beds for the COVID patients. At this moment, above 14 to 50 patients are now in the private hospitals.
Lau said beds freed up in acute hospitals will be used to treat both COVID and non-COVID patients. Patients who may be transferred to private hospitals will include those who have yet to fully recover from a stroke or cardiac arrest. Hong Kong added 4,547 infections today, 226 of which were imported. More than 100 people have been arrested for trying to defraud banks of more than $1 billion. Police said the suspects took advantage of government-guaranteed loans meant for businesses to get through the pandemic. Macy Mock reports.
The Commercial Crime Bureau displayed the bank documents, credit cards, and MPF contribution records of suspects who tried to defraud banks of more than $1.4 billion. The 127 people arrested in 11 cases had applied for government-guaranteed loans aimed at helping small and medium-sized enterprises survive the pandemic. Superintendent Yip Wing Lam said the suspects tried to get loans meant to pay rents and staff salaries. Those arrested included company directors and employees as well as bank staff. The suspects included 18 people arrested last month in connection with fraudulent loans totaling $193 million. Police found some companies lied about their staff headcounts and salaries in an attempt to squeeze more money from banks. One company told a bank that each of its 2 employees earned $250,000 a month, but police found that the firm only made about $10,000 monthly. Officers said some suspects purchased shell companies, claimed to have more employees than they actually had, and used fake documents to apply for loans. The money they obtained was transferred to their own bank accounts to buy luxury goods. Maisie Mock, HKIBC.
A man jailed last year for inciting secession has become the first to have his sentence reduced on appeal in a national security case. Adam Ma, nicknamed Captain America 2.0, had been jailed for 5 years and 9 months for advocating Hong Kong independence. He appealed on the grounds that the sentence was excessive. The Court of Appeal said the crime was serious in nature, but agreed that the sentence was excessive. It reduced the term by 9 months to 5 years. The Hang Seng Index edged higher today, recouping part of its big loss yesterday, but investors are keeping an eye on cross-strait tensions. The benchmark closed up 0.4% after gaining as much as 1.2% earlier. Investors went bargain hunting, but adopted a wait-and-see position when China imposed trade sanctions on Taiwan in the wake of U.S. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's visit to the island. Tech shares propped up the market, with Alibaba climbing nearly 4%. Chip maker SMIC added 4%. Now let's take a look at the markets. The Hang Seng ended the day up by 77 points. To the top 10 active stocks, Tencent picked up $7.60. Alibaba was up $3.30, while the tracker fund was up by 8 cents. Geely Auto was up 58 cents, but China Construction Bank was down 7 cents. To the forex trading against the Hong Kong dollar, the euro's at 7.99, the pound sterling at 9.56, and the Australian dollar at 5.45. Over in Europe, the London FTSE is currently up 14 points. The first cargo ship to leave Ukraine in 4 months has been given the all-clear to head to its destination. Russian, Ukrainian, Turkish, and United Nations officials inspected the ship, docked off Istanbul, to see whether it complied with an agreement signed last month. The freighter is carrying 26,000 tons of corn for Lebanon. Several more freighters are expected to follow shortly. The war in Ukraine has stopped the export of grain to the rest of the world, sending food prices soaring. On to the weather now. Expect more heavy rain and thunderstorms tomorrow. Temperatures will range between 26 and 29 degrees. Similar conditions in the days ahead. Now let's take a look at the weather around the world. That's our main news for Wednesday night. Join us for more news at 11. I'm Raymond Yeung. Good evening.